Hey, Jason from Theme Punch here. So version 2.1 is out for Essential Grid, and if you happen to update already, you can review the update history, and that lists all of the new features, the changes, the bug fixes. And today I'm going to go through some of the important changes and some of the cool new features with version 2.1. So starting off, if you head over to the preview, you can see we have a bunch of new demo grids available, and this is for the new social stream option. So we have options for Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Flickr, and Vimeo now. And you can go ahead and view all of these different demos and see which one you like. And you can import all of these demo grids inside the plugin. If you head over to Import, Export, there's a new button, Import 2.1 Demo Grids. Just go ahead and click that. And then if you head back to Essential Grid here, you can see all of these demos are now automatically imported. And if we head over to Settings, this one is Instagram. We can see here we have our Instagram grid automatically imported. And then for this, all we have to do is just change the Instagram username. And we've got new documentation for version 2.1, and we have a special page for the social streams. So here you can learn how you can set up all of the social stream options for your own grids. So the next new option I want to show you is located here in the Source tab. And if you scroll down to Media Filter, there's a whole bunch of new image filters that you can apply to your grid's images. So just as an example, these are all of the original images from my current grid. And if I were to just select maybe Willow and save that, and then we test it on the front end, you can see that we have a little more uniformity to our images here. And this is because there is now a CSS image filter applied to all of these images. So it's just kind of a cool way of adding a little bit of flair to your grids and maybe making them fit in a little bit better with your site's color scheme. So the next option I want to show you is probably my favorite. If you were to add just a regular default WordPress gallery, just through these simple steps here, here's what we would get on the front end. Just a traditional WordPress gallery, some thumbnails, some captions. Well, there's a new option with Essential Grid, where as long as you have at least one grid created, Essential Grid can use this grid here as a settings template. And then over in the global settings here, if you head down to WordPress Gallery Default Grid, and you set this to the grid that you've created, click Save Settings, it'll automatically convert this WordPress gallery to an Essential Grid. So we have another video tutorial that goes into a lot more depth about all of the options available for this and the setup. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. So heading back to the Essential Grid global settings, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a couple new options, and what these can do is disable the Essential Grid example posts here. And then also we've had some requests where sometimes people want to disable the Essential Grid custom settings section here. So let's say that you're setting up a WordPress installation for a client and you really want to hide this from them once you give them the keys to the castle. So what you can do is over in global settings, just set these both to off, then save the settings. Let's just reload the page here. We can see that those custom post types are gone from the menu, and then here these custom settings will also be gone. So next I want to show you some improvements that we made to the navigation category buttons. So before, that was always dependent on the grid source. So basically, in order to have a category button, it also had to be selected here as one of the grid source categories. So if we head over to Nav Filter Sort, and I add this filter element right here, and then I scroll down, the only filter that would be available in my grid would be the one that was selected in the source here. But now you can just select any category that's available. So if I head back down here and I select this little plus icon, you can see I have all of these other categories available. So these are technically not in my grid source, but I can add them as buttons just in case they happen to apply to any of the items in my grid. So now you can see I have all of these options, and then if I refresh the grid, now we have all of the category buttons available here that I can sort by, even though I still only have category A selected as the grid source. And another thing that's really cool is grids are no longer dependent on categories and tags. So if I just wanted to pull in all posts, or let's say that I had a custom post type and I just wanted to pull in all posts from that custom post type, maybe WooCommerce, maybe some type of events plugin, I can just go ahead and click clear categories. And now the source for my grid is going to only be the post type right up here, which is post. So if I just refresh the grid here, you can see I still have all of these items down here, and I still have all of the categories that I just set up for my nav filter sort section. So next I want to show you some new image size options for version 2.1. So if you ever have a situation where you have an image that maybe some part of it is being cropped out of view in order to fit it perfectly inside these symmetrical squares like this, there's a new option where if you head over to Essential Grid Overview, Edit Skin, right at the very top you can change media fit from cover to contain, and this is basically the same as the CSS background size property. So if we reload the grid, we can see now the entire image is being fit inside the grid item, and no part of the image is ever being stretched and cropped out of view. So you can change it globally like we just did, or you can also change it per item now. So if we just head back to the item skin, change this back to cover, save the skin, and then we head into settings. If you scroll down to your preview and you just click Edit Post Meta, right here, if you just change media fit from default fit to contain, we can change it for only one item, or more than one item if we wanted to. So if we just reload the grid here, we should see it applied only to the first item. And sticking with the image size topic, another new cool option is if you were to have a masonry layout with a masonry skin. So let's select masonry here and maybe choose haze. And let's just see what that looks like on the front end real quick. So you can see that we have images that are not all the same size, and this is the typical view for masonry grids before. But now there's a new option. If you head over to grid settings and you deselect auto from media ratio XY here, you can enter a custom fixed ratio. So I'm just going to leave this at 4:3 here. And now if we reload this, you can see that all of the items are perfectly symmetrical. So this is one of the most requested features that we had with Essential Grid, and it's now available with version 2.1. So the next option I want to show you is for video grids. So if you were to play a video inside a grid item, in order for it to have this fancy skin, it also has to have some type of video poster preview image applied to the grid item. So before, that would be applied manually for the featured image for the post, or maybe for a custom grid added manually. But now if you head over to the source tab for your grid and you scroll down, right over to the right you're going to see some new options called YouTube thumbnail and Vimeo thumbnail. So what this will do is it'll load the image directly from youtube.com or vimeo.com. And if I just save the grid here and reload, we can see that the poster image for the video is coming directly from youtube.com now, and I don't have to apply it manually anymore. So lastly, I just want to show you some new Lightbox options. If you scroll down from the Lightbox tab, you're going to find some new sizing and autoplay options. So autoplay would be cool for, let's say, maybe an image gallery that you wanted to automatically cycle through the images every 3 seconds. And then for the sizing, if we just take a look real quick here, you can see that this video is loading at 800 by 800, which is the default right here. So there's some blank space on the top and the bottom. So if I change this to a 16 by 9 ratio, and then we save it, and we were to load this again, we can see now we have this video nicely sized. Okay, so those are some of the great new features in version 2.1. Be sure to check out the documentation as we've completely redone it for version 2.1 as well. You can find a whole bunch of new information about how to customize your essential grids. So thanks for watching and good luck with your websites.